War is never a good thing. It tears families, towns, and even countries apart. The Civil War was one of the worst wars America has ever endured. The nation was divided over the issue of slavery, the North opposed to it and the South for it. It would take 4 long years of battle for the issue to be resolved. The Civil War was hard on everyone in America, but perhaps hardest on the soldiers who had to fight in the battles. Many of them were only boys, having lied about their age to get into the army. Lots enlisted for the glory and excitement of a war that they thought would only last a few months. No one knew then that this war would be a long quest for equality. As soldiers marched from town to town, they took off their jackets to try and cool off. Uniforms were very important in the Civil War. They told soldiers who was on their side and who was the enemy. By the second year of battle, every Union and Confederate soldier had been issued a jacket and pants made of wool, shoes made of thick leather, and a belt to carry battle supplies, as well as a gun. Soldiers kept their personal belongings in a canvas bag. Merchants usually followed the army, selling things like soap, hairbrushes, and boots for officers who could afford their high prices. The Union Army generally had better uniforms due to the fact that the factories who manufactured the uniforms were located in the North. At the end of a long day of drills, soldiers would come back to camp to relax and eat. A typical meal for a soldier in the Union Army would be salted beef and coffee, eaten with crackers called hardtack, that were made only of flour, water, and salt. If fresh vegetables were available, they would be eaten too, but most of the time the nearest town to the camp would be hours away by foot. After supper, soldiers would crawl into the tents that were made of 2 pieces of canvas joined along one side and held up by the soldiers' guns. They would have to get up at 5 a.m. the next morning for roll call. Soldiers spent their free time playing cards, reading, or taking part in team sports. Many also found time to write to their families back home. Many soldiers were not used to the discipline that came with being in the army. Punishment for small crimes was usually extra duties, or sometimes an embarrassing task, like carrying around a sign that said thief. More serious crimes were punished by being sent home, prison sentences, or even death. All in all, the Civil War was 4 long years of pain, suffering, and loss. It changed the lives of those involved forever. Family members were injured, taken prisoner, or even killed in battle. America is once again called the United States, but we can never and will never forget the tragedy that was the Civil War.